What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing the mock draft with trades. 3 rounds, 2 days. This is going to be round 1, so day 1, and we got day 2 coming right after that. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do other fun YouTube jazz. Y'all know what's up. We're going to try to get to 10K by the end of the year. I was about to say by the end of the day. That'd be absolutely ridiculous, but always welcomed. Regardless, yes, we're going to get right into this. Let's have some fun. This is going to have trades. Why I'm dressed like this, I just came off of a 2.5-hour interview. Pray for me. Well, I mean, I guess the prayers were needed beforehand, but prayers are always welcomed. But in case y'all are wondering why I have Louis Vuitton eye bags on, that is why. So let's get right into this. Let's have some fun. Pick number 1, Chicago. This is their pick. Just kidding. It's Carolina's pick. The fact that they essentially got the number 1 pick for free, not too shabby. So good for the Chicago Bears on that front. I am not going to be trading out of this spot because I have a weird suspicion if Marvin Harrison Jr. is there at 2 and it's like him or, Drake May, they're going to go after Marvin Harrison Jr. So sorry, Giants fans. I know y'all love the idea of going Marvin Harrison Jr., but I am going to crush your dreams once more. And we go Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1. He's just been so phenomenal, just consistent day 1 impact. I mean, for me, I was like, wow, well, I was debating looking at JSN like completely differently because dude, he's not even remotely the best wide receiver on his own team. How can he be a first round pick? Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Ibuka, these guys are so much better. And both of those guys are super studs. It's not that hard to be worse than Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Ibuka. Beside the point, I mean, this guy's just been consistent since the first day he was there at Ohio State. Probably the best wide receiver talent that we have seen come out, at least in my time studying the draft. Really spectacular player. The Bears could definitely use it. Obviously, they don't have even Chase Claypool anymore, but DJ Moore needs a number 2. And whether DJ Moore is the number 2 or Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't really matter. It's always good to have some super weapons there. Now, is quarterback out of the question? No. I don't think so, because if you are sitting here at pick number 5, it means that your team is not necessarily competitive enough. But at the same time, I do think that y'all are going to be willing to take one more year, especially since Quinn Ewers just said he's going back. I'm 99% sure that was the case. I've been considering him going back for a hot minute now, and it's good to see that at least it comes out to that. But at pick number 2, there is a legitimate debate, Caleb or Drake. Caleb has his temperamental issues in terms of just not really oozing a leader. I said Drake May's small. He's not small. He's small for the amount of contact he takes. He pretty much behaves like Anthony Richardson at a much different profile than Anthony Richardson. And we even saw what happened to Anthony Richardson. I would hope Drake May would shy away from contact a little bit more, but he's been getting better and better as the year progressed. Even in his losses where he has 50% completion percentage, he still is doing a very fine job of the big time throw, the turnover worthy play ratio. To me, that's pretty damn huge because, at the end of the day, you're going to have to take risks to make those big time throws. And then are those risks worth it? If they aren't, usually turnover worthy plays. So again, it's not the end all be all by any stretch, but the fact is Drake May has been making a lot of really good, really huge throws while not necessarily being, he's not been risk averse. But at the same time, he hasn't really been putting it in danger the way that, I wouldn't really trust him to do so last year. So good to see that development right there. However, Caleb Williams he's someone you won't really ever find. You see Patrick Mahomes and you see Caleb Williams. You don't get to have those guys all the time. That's why Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. This guy is potentially Patrick Mahomes. He has unbelievable scrambling ability. He's as elusive as Kyler, has a bigger profile than Kyler, has a better arm than Kyler, and maybe a worse processor here and there. But the fact is, he's so young as well. And honestly, even though we've seen a lot of issues with Caleb so far this year in terms of, his interceptions here and there are what are you doing? The WTF factor. We have seen him hit reality. He's no longer sipping on the Kool-Aid of us saying there's no faults to this guy. You just plug and play and he's going to be the best player of all time. There's none of that. He has the mobility that Daniel Jones has. He has the upside Daniel Jones does not. Therefore, I'm going to take him. In worst case scenario, you have to take another quarterback in the future. But, there are your concerns, and they're very valid. But the talent ceiling of Caleb Williams is higher than any other quarterback that we've seen in a hot minute. Trevor Lawrence didn't have the ceiling that Caleb Williams did because Caleb has his escape ability that's just so unique. He is somebody where it's worth betting on, even with the risk associated. At pick number 3, it's no surprise I'm going Drake May here. Do I think weapons and tackles are also required? Yes. But this team has been absolutely atrocious at addressing the quarterback position since Tom Brady. And honestly, they didn't even go out for Tom Brady. They got this dude in the 199th pick, right? So it's not like they've been elite at finding QB talent. And yeah, it's good to know that Bailey Zappi, who is I think a 4th round pick, can at least potentially step into a game and keep it semi-competitive. But that's not what you play in the NFL for. The NFL is no longer a league where you can succeed at semi-competitive. It's where you need to have a difference maker. And so far, this team has not really addressed it on the quarterback side. Drake May, sometimes you just got to go with the BPA at a position of value. Drake May, I don't think any of y'all fans are going to disagree with the idea. However, for those of y'all who do, you need to hit it right. Like, I feel like you can draft tackle talent down the board better than quarterback talent. I feel like wide receiver talent, can't draft it in the first place. I guess disrespect to Bill as a GM. He's an amazing coach, probably the best of all time. But as a GM, the drafting philosophy has been pretty bad, except for on the offensive line. Offensive line, you've got some good guys. Sidney Sal was a great target last year. So love that for y'all, but get it right. Honestly, just get it right. At pick number 4 for the Cardinals, we are going to be moving out of this spot. You got Brock Bowers, you got Olu Fashanu here. And I think one of these guys needs to go. Now, the question is, who's going to be ballsy enough to move up? Who doesn't have that many needs, or who really just wants to hit on a superstar like Brock Bowers? The teams that I would consider for Brock, Washington, them sitting there at 10, it is within striking range for them to move up to 4 to get somebody who is unbelievable. My only issue is that they have 2 tackles they need to replace, and they have 2 edge rushers that are now gone. Maybe they're tanking for Brock, like bomb for Brock. Maybe that's the thing. But I'm a little bit concerned in that regard. At the same time, they could move up for a tackle, right? Like, look, I was about to say, look how many picks we have. That's for the Cardinals. But the Washington has a pretty similar amount of picks for over these 2 days. There is a reason. I would be willing to move back this far. Absolutely. The price would just be too much for what we have to put on this roster. It would be great if he fell there. Absolutely. But I cannot see a team. Maybe the Chargers would be a good spot. But how much draft capital do you need on this team? And I'm not going to lie. The Chargers don't have that many big issues. That's actually a good idea. Because I want to get a corner for this team or a defensive interior. You're going to be before the Raiders, and we could always trade back up because, it's what the Cardinals do. So we are actually going to make this trade because I feel like the Chargers need to go balls to the wall. You have a supremely talented quarterback. You have Trey Pipkins on a multi-year contract right now as it is. So the bookend tackles, I'm not going to be upgrading those. Your corner core does need a little bit of help. But you can, of course, things can be addressed in free agency too. You can't find a Brock Bowers in free agency. This team needs it. Kellen Moore loves his tight ends. So for me, you don't need this. Let me clarify that. You don't need this. But if you want to succeed, you're going to need this. So I think this will probably take a 1-2, 1-3. It is a significant trade up. Maybe you toss in a player there as well. But I'm going to let y'all do that type of negotiating. Maybe the Chargers get back pick 133. Do your own negotiating in that part. The Chargers are going to move up because, again, I know how much this team values tight end with Kellen Moore. And Gerald Everett's he's been a fine dude. But Brock Bowers is just different. You have 2 contracts coming up after next year with Keenan Allen as well as Mike Williams. Keenan might be done with his career after next year. Brock doesn't need to have the day one impact. He's going to be your Travis Kelce. He really is. So you have Quentin Johnston. Now you have Brock Bowers. You can continue adding to this core as time goes on. Because I do think the Bears are a potential landing spot for Brock Bowers. It's another reason why I really would want to move up. But for the Bears at this pick, we could, of course, move back, get maybe someone like Johnny Newton. I would not be against that idea. However, it really depends on what tackle you like. And I'm actually going to leave this open-ended for you. I'm going to go Olu Fashanu here for the ceiling aspect, kick Braxton Jones to guard. But I don't think this is, again, going to be a negative impact on your roster whatsoever. Kick Braxton to guard, keep Olu and develop him for the long run. However, if you don't like that, this next pick is going to be Joe Alt to be the left tackle. You could just switch the two, and I don't think either franchise would be too mad about it. So both of the NFC North teams get their bookend left tackle for the future. I know that some people are still saying Talise Fuaga would be a better fit than even Joe Alt and just test out Zach Tom at left tackle. For me, I want to get the guaranteed thing. Let's go Joe Alt. At pick number 7, like I did this in my mock draft yesterday, we're going to go Talise Fuaga here. I think the Rams just need to get a guy, and they need to continue developing that roster through and through. This is going to be the exact way to do it. He is unbelievably talented. Obviously, he's my number 4 player in the class. He was my number 3, but letting up 4 pressures to Colorado just pushed him below generational for me. He still has quite a bit of room to grow because he made the same mistake back-to-back weeks. For me, I want to see that learning curve, and he'll probably show it over time. He'll probably climb back up the board. Until then, he's going to be where he's at. At pick number 8 for the Titans, I am pretty much sold on going Keon Coleman for this team. The question is, are there any teams that can trade up so maybe I can get some good value? Is there a team that might be looking for a quarterback like Bo Nix, like Michael Penix? Because one of them's going right here. I already know. The Falcons, I am happy with either. So that's why I'm not trading up with the Falcons just to secure your guy. I'd be happy with either of them. If I'm the Buccaneers, this is a short-range trade to get above your in-division rival. And if I'm the Titans, I'm saying, hey, I'm still going to get Keon Coleman there. I am. That's what I'm going to do. So the Buccaneers are going to jump their in-division rival to get the guy that they want. I believe this will take a third-round selection. So Tampa Bay, you are now only going to have 1 selection for day 2. Tennessee, you have actually your third-round pick back. So there you go. So the Buccaneers have moved up, and they're going to select a quarterback here. Now the question is, do you want to go Bo Nix or Michael Penix? It really is up to you. And again, this is open-ended, just like the Bears and Packers here. Like, whoever is the leftover is going to be perfectly fine in a system with the Falcons. It depends if you're going to just add mobility with Bo Nix or you're going to add firepower with Michael Penix. I think Michael Penix fits what has worked in Tampa Bay a little bit more than Bo in terms of maybe a little bit less mobility, higher upside, and I think Michael Penix can utilize the receiving core better than Baker can. I don't feel like it's a desperate need for the team, but I do think it's something that, this team could definitely use someone who will maximize Mike Evans in his final years. And he might be 10 or 20% better than Baker, but that might make 80% of the difference. Leaving me to go after Bo Nix, who I still think is an excellent addition into the Falcons roster. At the end of the day, I actually might have went Michael Penix this time, and I just don't think Bo Nix fits the Buccaneers as well as Michael Penix does. I feel like this was more versatile and more open-ended to where I could be happy with either Michael Penix or Bo Nix. So, got to secure the guy here in Michael Penix. I'm trying to think, if I ended up not making that trade and I went Michael Penix here, I don't know if I would go Bo Nix for the Buccaneers. That's the crazy thing. For me, I secured the guy that I needed to for the Buccaneers. At pick number 10 for Washington, for me, this offensive tackle class is not remotely as good as what people are saying. And so I'm just going to call it out as it is. I'm going to go after the top end tackle talent. JC Latham just did a redo on his evaluation. He has progressed exponentially. He's up to 360 pounds now as well. So I don't really get why there's not a synergy on the actual guy's weight online. Like, there's guys like Tyleek Williams who are now listed 290 who were listed 320 pounds. I don't get it. Why can't we just have this is their weight? It shouldn't be a crazy thing. This is a factoid. Like, it should be something that we know. But the edge class is super deep. That's the only other position I would target at this point. And JC Latham, the tackle class, is not so much. This team needs help. That's going to be a great help. At pick number 11, this is Keon Coleman. Talked about it earlier. It's going to be what it's going to be. Keon Coleman out of Florida State. You have a future quarterback there in Will Levis. Has he struggled the past 2 weeks? Yeah, but you've seen why he should be the franchise quarterback. His first game, obviously, he took some crazy shots down the field and capitalized on them to DeAndre Hopkins, right? Those weren't open balls. Those were contested 50-50 balls that you can trust your receiver to make an 80-20 ball. That's what Keon Coleman does. And I already know my Titans fans are going to love it. So I don't really need to explain it much more than that. But this guy fits exactly what Will Levis loves. And he's going to make Will Levis far more impactful than he would be without Keon Coleman. At pick number 12 for the Jets, it's tackle and wide receiver for me. Those are the two positions I'd look for. That being said, I'm going to make a move here because I don't feel like tackle or wide receiver are going to be the pick at pick 13. I'm making a small move with the Arizona Cardinals to jump back up. They acquired a good amount of capital here, and I think maybe it would only take, so I'm thinking about the Steelers trade. It was a 3rd round pick. So we're going to actually take a roughly similar trade package here to move up with the New York Jets to acquire Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's going to be your boundary corner 1. He's someone who I'd be willing to take at pick number 4. That's pretty good value, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, there we go. We got Kool-Aid McKinstry. We acquired an extra second, an extra first and 3rd in the following year in order to get Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'll take it. I'll tell you, I'll take it. If you won't, I will. At pick number 13, I'm curious on the quarterbacks available. You got J.J. McCarthy. I'm not considering Shedeur coming out. Quinn Ewers, I think, have just declared that he's not coming out. Riley Leonard, I doubt he's going to come out. So it's Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy. At this point, I don't fully know it. Like, I have been willing to pull the trigger on J.J. before. It's just the wrong week to pull the trigger on J.J. this early. I do believe that he could be a very talented quarterback in the NFL. And this roster wouldn't be a bad idea to plug and play him in. I'm debating moving back, but I already know with the Colts, I'd be going after Kalen King. So a lot of people don't believe in Kalen King the way I do. Obviously, I'm kind of biased towards Penn State, so I will admit that. However, I had JPJ as my number 2 player last year. I think Kalen King is a different style of player, but he is probably 90% as good as JPJ. And pairing him up with Patrick Surtain, that's kind of the best option that you can have. Now, I do agree you could potentially trade back with a team that gets super excited and wants to move up. Like, I could see a team, well, actually, unfortunately, the Bills are right here. Like, the Bills could be wanting to move up, make a massive move for a wide receiver if Keon Coleman were still on the board. That probably would be something that I'd be willing to do. I'm trying to remember what some of my fans have been telling me, like the Chiefs should move up for a wide receiver. Obviously not going to do an in-division trade like that. But there are some ways for us to acquire a 2nd round pick because we don't have a 2nd round pick. And I think that would be pretty damn smart, if you ask me, for a lot of these teams that could be looking for a special talent. The issue is there's not many talents that are that special anymore. Like, those are very scheme specific. So unfortunately, I have to say we're going to stay put and go Kalen King. This is a live mock draft for the record, so that's why we don't have everything pieced together perfectly. But the New York Jets moved back, and now it's going to be wide receiver and offensive tackle. I'm debating on just saying screw Amarius Mims and saying he's not going to come out. And to make my life significantly harder, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Amarius Mims is going to be considered as returning. He hasn't even played the majority of the year. This would be his first year starting too. So we're considering that off the table. Therefore, we are going to be going after a wide receiver here. And I think Garrett Wilson needs a number 2. And I want a reliable target. I think Malik Nabers is a very, very good receiver. But I think Emeka pairs up with Garrett a little bit better. And granted, they both read Ohio State at the same time. I'm not doing it just because of that. I think Emeka Egbuka's ability as just more of a reliable target, he's just good at everything. He really is. He's a smooth route runner. He's athletic. He's good size. He's solid after the catch. But he's not going to be a deep burner. You're not going to use him as a deep burner. You could use Garrett Wilson as a deep burner. So for that, Emeka complements him a bit better. And I really would love to see him with Aaron Rodgers. At pick number 15, so the Colts, this is where I'd potentially move back. However, I already know I'm about to get roasted by the Cardinals fans right now for not going after Johnny Newton, but you know, it is what it is. I'm debating between going after where's he at? Cooper DeJean, because I do think this team desperately needs secondary, or trading with a team that wants to go after Johnny Newton. And I'm I'm looking at it, and the DBs, yes, I think Cooper DeJean would be a great addition. However, I think this team has a lot more issues that I would like to solve than what is valuable here at this pick. Therefore, I am going to go a little bit balls to the wall here. We are going to be going to Arizona Cardinals because they're at pick 20. It's not a big range. So we're going to be trading the Arizona Cardinals picks away to move up to this spot. 5 spots in this range is roughly worth a third plus maybe a third next year. And look at all the picks we have. Look at them. We have all these free picks. So we are going to be spending them. So we're going to give maybe a third and a fourth to move up. You can do your own negotiating on that part. So the Cardinals are moving back up again to select Johnny Jerzon Newton. At pick number 16 for the Raiders. That's kind of a killer combo, isn't it, by the way? For the Raiders, I could see them going after an edge rusher. I think the number 7 overall pick, apart from Max Crosby, should be the reason why you don't. But I'm not saying it's out of the question. I think because Jerzon Newton was taken, I would be open to another defensive back, but I'd want a boundary corner. And that's Nate Wiggins. I don't think Nate Wiggins is worth it at this pick. I don't. And with the Bills lurking for Cooper DeJean, I want to make a move back up. And I could make it right here with the Colts, could make it with the Steelers. I don't think that you can make a wrong move here. But in order to make both defensive back and defensive interior viable options, like I really don't see, apart from maybe pick 22, one really going off the board, a boundary corner. And if he does, you have other options. So it's going to be down to the Steelers and the Colts. The Colts could, again, I mean, they do this all the time. You just move back up and you'd subtract the 4th round pick. So as unrealistic as this sounds, I'm going to do it anyways. We're going to move back up with the exact picks that we just acquired, besides the Arizona's 4th, which I think is fine. You got a free 4th round pick and you're getting Cooper DeJean. There you go. I wanted to do something else, but honestly, I just couldn't sell myself to get away from Cooper DeJean. So we moved back an extra 4th round pick. Both teams are very happy. And again, the Raiders, you're going to be getting your top tier corner. Voila. For the Bills, you need a wide receiver 2 at this point. It would be tackle, DB if Cooper DeJean were there. I don't think the other DBs are worth it at this point. Therefore, you need a wide receiver 2. I'm going to go after Malik Neighbors because I think his deep threat ability is something where you can truly maximize Josh Allen's arm. This team needs a wide receiver 2 because I've never been fully sold on Gabe Davis, but I never was out on Gabe Davis. Now the time has come. At pick number 28 with the Bengals, just looking at the guys available, there's too many edge rushers on the board for my liking. I do think that a team that's looking for a prime edge rusher should be intrigued on moving up. That could be the Chicago Bears, but they freaking sold their stock. Forgot about that part. We could be in the mood to move up with Washington because I know that there's going to be somebody good enough here, but not that good. Not that good. We have the best edge rushers on the board. So, yeah, let's definitely trade up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's realistic, y'all. We're going to make a move with where are they at? Where is Washington at? I need to see where the W is at because we're about to take a W with them. The Washington Commanders are going to make a move here. So for this trade, I think it would require a future 2nd round pick and maybe a 4th rounder this year. I don't see the Bengals needing that much in the first place. So for me, this is going to be the proper value you're building for the future. I just don't see the value being worth it for the Bengals. So the Commanders move up because they need to win the arms race, and they're going to select Jared Verse, the best edge rusher out of Florida State. You get J.C. Latham, you get Jared Verse. That's exactly what you should be looking for. Pick number 19 for the Saints. We're going to go after a quarterback here, and we're going to, man, I want to go Jaden Daniels. Y'all have been saying that you haven't taken a player from LSU in like 15 or 25 or even 35 years. I forget what the figure is. That's wild. Honestly, it's wild. I'm going to take J.J. McCarthy here. Hmm. Part of me doesn't want to. We're going to take him anyways. I think this team needs an infusion of something in the quarterback core. I love Jameis, but I mean, Jameis's loyalty should be rewarded. I just don't think it's going to be. At pick number 20, I talked about going a defensive back here with Nate Wiggins. They are 2-0 in the Aiden O'Connell era. Granted, it's against the battle of mid. Debating on Jaden Daniels because this guy has Lamar Jackson-esque ability in terms of his escapability. He really is your cheaper version of Caleb Williams. So, he has the big playability with his arm. He knows how to use his legs. Obviously, he came off like a 200-yard rushing game, 300-something yard passing game, just 5 total touchdowns. This dude's been absolutely killing it. And especially in a thin quarterback class, let's push him to the top. Let's go, Jaden Daniels. We got extra picks, and we get to have Jaden Daniels. Fine by me. Pick number 21 would have been a great team to go for. Jaden Daniels with the Vikings. No longer an option. So I know a lot of people talk about defensive interior being a good position to target. I've gone after corner. A lot of people don't like that idea. However, there's some top tier edge rushers on the board, and I still think that teams should be trying to go and addressing their corner issue or their edge issues here. Like there's just too good of talent on the board. Now, for the Giants, I'm debating a move up here. I know that they're in conference with each other, but the Giants could use a really good edge too. And in the NFL, you can't have enough edge twos. I debate moving up with the Cardinals as well. Like again, they're within striking range. The Lions, if they weren't in the same division, I think would be an excellent move for them. The Jaguars, there are some teams that I think would genuinely benefit from trading up to here. And I just don't see the value for the Vikings at the moment. I really don't. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. We are going to trade up with the New York Giants because I naturally always go after like wide receiver. I did a good job for the Giants yesterday. I want to test something new. And maybe that's not the best idea for this, but it is what it is. We're going to acquire a 3rd round pick as well and a future 3rd to move up. So y'all are just going to increase your draft capital both this year and next. It's just the value isn't good enough for Minnesota. So y'all are going to be moving up. You could go Leatu Latu here for size reasons, but I'm actually debating on going Braylon Trice. You could go Dallas Turner as well. It depends on what flavor ice cream you want. Dallas Turner is the do-it-all guy. Obviously, I have him here at 7 on my board. I have Trice at number 8. He is 274 pounds, and he moves like a freaking freight train. He is a beast. And I think he's a good compliment to KT, who's on the little bit of the lighter side. You do need to have somebody of that unbelievable impact on the outside, including KT. Braylon Trice is a way to do it. I know we could have went after Romo Dunze, but there's also some really good receivers in this class, so have patience. Again, this is a marathon, not a race. At pick number 22, would have been a good team, honestly, low-key for Braylon Trice to go to. You got the Cowboys here, and I think for this squad, I would go Nate Wiggins. Linebacker round 2 is going to be round 3 is going to be a good target for us. Could go Graham Barton to be the future center, but there's also a couple of centers in this class. I'm going to change it up and go Nate Wiggins. The Steelers, again, such good players falling. Guys who I have in my top 5 are falling. Like that's just the draft for you. I'm going to go Graham Barton here. If he doesn't work at tackle, he's going to work at center. Both of those are big positions of need, and the Steelers need to continue valuing offensive line. At pick number 24, another spot that would have been good for Graham Barton, we have the Texans. And you got guys like Romo Dunze on the board that could be massive additions for a roster. Honestly, like this one, I feel like Rome would have a similar role in this offense to Nico Collins. And I know that sounds like it's a diss at Rome. It's not. It's honestly an elevation of Nico Collins because I love that guy. I would just say defensive interior is where you're going to need to go. And I did this in my last mock, and I think I'm going to do it in this one too. I'm going to look for someone who could be an absolute meat eater. Ooh, pause. Jesus. An absolute space eater, an absolute wall of meat in the middle, and that's going to be Tavondre Sweat. He's 362 pounds. He's getting better and better as a pass rusher. Right down the road, this guy could be an absolute force. At pick number 25, this is normally where I do a trade, and it's going to continue to be where I do a trade. I would debate moving up with the Patriots here because I kind of like that idea. I really like that idea for Romo Dunze, but we're going to pause on it for the time being. Oh, look at that. They're trying to tease me. They're trying to say, Alex, you need to go. after Rome Odunze with the Patriots. I just don't see the Patriots being that type of team to jump for Rome. Seahawks are a good team for it. Lions, I think, are an excellent team for Rome Odunze. It really depends on what you want to go for. The Eagles, can you imagine? We're going to go after it with the Carolina Panthers. This is my standard trade for them. So it will take their 3rd round pick as well. Like maybe we could do this type of trade so they're still their 2nd round pick or their 3rd round pick. So we'll see what happens there. Again, do your own negotiating. But with that, the Carolina Panthers have moved up for Rome Odunze. And yes, I have top 5 players that are still on the board. That's the NFL draft for you. Not every team's going to need every single position. Not many teams are going to need, well, to be fair, I love Johnny Wilson more than, life itself. But, for guys like Dallas Turner, not every team needs another edge rusher, including this one. I don't know what's up with that. I wish I had Jane Daniels on the board. He'd be a great pick. The next quarterback that is eligible, because again, I'm saying these 3 are returning, would be Pratt and Milton. They are not worth this pick. They are not. This should be another trade back. To be fair, Leonard Taylor would be ridiculous. Like that would be just unbelievable. You could try to go and target a boundary wide receiver like A.D. Mitchell. This team doesn't need much. That's the big issue. They don't need anything. So I'm going to trade this pick as well. I know we got a lot of trades in here. It's trades galore. But ultimately, I don't know what I would do for the Seahawks. Like linebacker, but linebacker's not worth it either. And you got unbelievable edge rushers on the board. Like unbelievable edge rushers. So for this, I debate moving up with the Eagles because we are starting to get very thin on the 260 plus edge rushers. You're down to JT and Leatu Latu. And I think that's exactly what the Eagles are going to do. And, it is a rival, but, the Eagles, Howie has the draft capital to make these moves too. What we're going to do is we're going to send our pick and we're going to get their pick in return. It'll be a little bit more than this, to be fair. So like maybe we'll give a future 5th round pick. Again, do your own negotiating. But therefore, the overall amount of picks remains relatively the same. Leatu Latu is the choice. Pick number 27 for the Jaguars. Again, I think that going after an edge rusher wouldn't be a bad idea for this team. To let Chop sit and develop would be a good idea. Looking at the wide receivers, Xavier Legette is someone who I would love to have in that receiving core. A.D. Mitchell as well. Johnny Wilson. Like these guys are well deserving of being in this receiving core. So I'm going to go Xavier Legette, 6'3", 227, fastest guy in college. At pick number 28 for the Niners is down to corner and tackle. Again, Marius Mims considered returning in this mock draft. It's not official. I just don't see the tackle value being good enough. I really don't, even with Tyler Guyton. I really like the idea of Tyler Guyton on the squad, but, just it's not worth it. It's not. But you do have some really good corners here. And I talked about Terry and Arnold being an elite corner too. And I really have fallen in love with that idea. So we're going to go Terry and Arnold here for the Niners. At pick number 29 for the Ravens, you could actually go after an edge rusher here rather than a corner. But I did this in my last mock. You know what? We're going to go Denzel Burke here. I think the Ravens need a true corner 1. I love Denzel Burke. Terry and Arnold, I think, is still the better fit for the Niners. But Denzel Burke he's a phenomenal corner. He's gotten better and better as time has gone on. So glad to give him the love that he deserves. At pick number 30, this is going to be between Chop and Dallas. I'm going to go Dallas because I think he's a little bit more ready day 1. Chop is going to be that guy where you take a big swing and develop him. Now, there is somebody who's really good at developing, who's like kind of more of a leadership figure and developmental for Chop Robinson. And Aiden Hutchinson could be that mentor that you're looking for. Dallas Turner is going to be more of a day 1 impact, and I feel like this team needs more of a day 1 impact. And pick number 31 for the Chiefs. Looking at the guys available, my God. Chop Robinson. What are you doing here? What are you doing? I'm debating on going Chris Jenkins for the squad. I do think that would be a welcomed addition. Leonard Taylor, too, is ridiculous value. We're going to go Leonard Taylor the third. Just ridiculous value for a defensive interior. The wide receiver, tight end hybrid of Johnny Wilson would be fun, but ultimately, Leonard Taylor, he's just a beast. This team, Philadelphia's pick that went for the Seattle Seahawks, has led Seattle to be the final pick of the first round and of this mock draft. I am not letting Chop get out of the first round. I am moving up with the Arizona. Well, oh, fuck. Why are they in the same division? Why are they in the same division? Get out of the division, man. I'm debating moving up with the Washington Commanders again. I'm debating it because they have the draft capital. They got Jared Verse, and now they can have Chop Robinson as well. Like, they could go after another linebacker for sure, but I'm curious what their draft capital looks like. I really am. They have all their picks. They really do. So genuinely, you could make a move here with Washington. I think it would probably cost the 100th overall pick. Maybe it'll cost a little bit more, but it's not going to affect this mock draft. We're going to move up with the Commanders here to solve two of their big issues with two unbelievable fallers. Chop Robinson, J.C. Latham, Jared Verse. Washington gets 3 first-round picks. That is going to be the story of the video. Thank you so much for watching and supporting as always. See you on the far side.